Right, I'm pleased to have with me Miya Knights, who is one of the advisory panel members for this year's Digital Retail Innovations Report, sponsored by Web Loyalty. First question, Miya, is what did you think were the most interesting themes from this year's report?
Thanks, Glynn. I thought the most interesting themes from this year's report were around sustainability and health and wellness, and of course, not forgetting safety, given the events of this year putting health and safety at the top of all consumers' minds. Calling out a couple, obviously, number one, the top ranking one, excuse me, I'm just referencing the report here because there are 60 innovations. The DNA nudge solution, also lots and lots of vertical farming solutions. I also thought that the Winnow waste bin that actually measures not only the weight, but photographs the waste going into the bin to calculate the cost there and then of that waste food was excellent, and noted that ranked 18th. So, overall, the fact that retailers, despite having a really challenging year, have continued to invest in areas that are ultimately going to save them money, but also play to the growing trend for conscious consumption with brands that are more sustainable and do have a purpose, was really heartening to see as a main theme.
Yeah, you'd already referenced some specific innovations a second ago. Did any others spring to mind? And I'm thinking specifically of the impact of COVID-19 on the innovations in this year's report.
Yes, I really like the fact that the UV sanitizing robots made it in. I've been seeing more and more examples of this around the world. We're seeing robotics sort of creep into retail quite slowly from a delivery and fulfillment replenishment standpoint in store and from the store to someone's home. But the UV sanitizing robots that are being developed have the intelligence to be able to move around a space, usually when it's not occupied, and make sure, just again, taking care of those basic needs that have become so much more important. The viral load of an environment, and lower that and sanitize the environment so that it's safe not only for customers but for even staff coming into store the next day.
It seems like with robotics, some of the gimmick elements have maybe gone, and COVID-19 gave a good reason for them to be actually used in an actual. The robotics was a proper solution rather than a solution looking for a cause or a need, I guess.
Yes, a solution looking for a problem to solve. Yeah. Absolutely. I think although, a lot of people laughed at the Starships technologies, pilots that have been variously trialed across the world, but I noted that the Co-op partnership had made it into our ranking again this year. Thoroughly endorsed that. I think they've been one of the standout retailers for really pushing this, and to that point, the need for expanding your last mile delivery network has increased exponentially, particularly for grocers who have seen a huge increase in online demand for grocery shopping. So, the fact that Co-op and other retailers working with Starship and their competitors have stuck at the autonomous delivery robot use case shows that it can always come, the ground can always come up to meet you. And I note that, they've had some real success in terms of expanding that in the trial areas that Co-op is working with Starship on this.
The report overall, and specifically within the top 10, as an example, includes some really big names. We've got Amazon multiple times, we've got Ocado, Walmart, and Facebook with various innovations. But alongside them, we've got plenty of really small providers, and I'd certainly take that to be healthy for retail and innovation. What's your thoughts on the fact we do have a massively diverse array of innovations in the report?
I think, yes, definitely, I agree with you. It's very, very heartening, but I don't see it necessarily as a surprise. I think that's the way it's always worked. But perhaps the fact that those smaller providers are standing their own ground and actually gaining attention without necessarily always needing the big tier one retailers to either pilot their solutions, or, as is the case, so often the case, acquire them, absorb them, and then we never really get to hear about their own capabilities in their own right. So yes, in that sense, to see those smaller guys, like DNA Nudge, for example, with their health band solution, win out against the Walmarts and the Amazons of this world, is actually, yes, very, very heartening.